Fight fans, talking about Carl Prusa MMA. We got a guy who's been on here a few times. He's getting ready, making his UFC return July 25th, going to Abu Dhabi. He's taking on Abdul Hussein. He is the Renegade. He is Mr. Cody Gibson. Cody, what's up, my friend? How are you?
Doing well. I'm sitting in San Francisco airport waiting to go to Dubai.
Absolutely. So right now you're getting ready. You're kind of embarking on a new journey. You told me before the interview you've never been to the Middle East. Now you're going fighting. Is it pretty cool that you get this opportunity?
Yeah, I always enjoy traveling and seeing different parts of the world that I wouldn't otherwise be able to see or ever see. So, yeah, I'm all about having new experiences. So I don't know if Abu Dhabi would be at the top of my vacation list, but it'll be an experience, and I'll see a different culture, see different people. And yeah, I'm excited about it.
You know, it's crazy, man. You've been at this for such a long time. I mean, you've been competing for over 15 years. You know, started at a time where it wasn't fully developed. MMA wasn't as accepted as what it is today. Now, here you are getting opportunities to fly all over the world to fight. 15 years ago, someone told you that eventually you'd be in the UFC, you'd be getting these huge international fights. So do you believe anybody?
I don't know. Yeah, when I first started, it was for $500, and I thought that would get me through the summer until school started back up. So I don't really think I had a notion that I would be doing this for the next. Yeah, it's been almost 20 years. So yeah, I don't think I didn't do it at first and with the intention of like I'm gonna be a fighter. It was like I was getting in fights anyway, and they're like, "We'll pay you $500 to do it in this cage," and I was like, "Okay."
You know, when you first got into this, what were some of the scenes like when you maybe your first amateur pro fights? Do you fight ever in bars, outside, anything kind of crazy?
Yeah, some pretty interesting venues over the years for sure. One of the ones that stands out is the Tachi Palace in Lemoore, California, the home of the original WEC. Uh, they used to do a show in July, and for some reason, one year they decided to do it outdoors. And if you know anything about the Central Valley of California in the summer, it's hot. And all the fighters before the fight were like, they let the fighters in the cage to kind of like feel the cage or whatever. We couldn't go in there because it was too hot on our feet. And luckily, I was later in the card, so I didn't. It was like cooled down by then, and the sun had set. But yeah, I felt bad for some of those early fighters because it had to have been pretty damn hot.
Absolutely. So, for a long time, in addition to being a fighting, you were also a teacher. We've done some interviews from the classroom before. A couple of fights ago, you made the decision to stop the teaching and focus on the fighting full time. What's that transition been like for you?
I mean, it's been interesting. I mean, it's been good. It has allowed me to focus on fighting and also pursuing other things. Like I opened a gym a few months ago, and I still substitute teach a couple days a week. Usually, if I'm not in fight camp, if I'm in fight camp, I just kind of block off all my time for that. But yeah, being a new business owner and an entrepreneur and a small business owner has been a new venture, and so that's keeping me busy as well. So I don't feel like I sat down teaching and like completely abandoned like life outside of fighting or like work outside of fighting, but it definitely allows me a little bit more flexibility with my schedule to be able to train and focus on training.
You know, we've seen a few fighters now start their own gym, trying to kind of pay their tutelage forward. For you, is this kind of a sense of giving back? I mean, this idea to like coach some guys and see them hopefully have some success.
Yeah, and I'm not even like we don't even really we have guys on our team. We have quite a few fighters, but the gym itself, I don't like. We're not a fight team. Like the pit is still a fight team, and we still go down to San Luis, about 30 minutes south, to train. So my gym is more, it's recreational nogi jiu-jitsu, kickboxing, and my wife runs like a hit interval class in the mornings. So it's more for just regular people, and it's been cool to see. Like I got guys that started with me 3-4 months ago when we opened, and never been on a mat before. These like middle aged guys, fathers of 2 or 3 kids, and full-time jobs and everything else, and seeing that their transformation, and the ones that have been consistent and been in the gym like at least 3 days a week or so, like it's been pretty rad. It's been pretty cool to see, and I definitely enjoy just sharing some of the knowledge I've been able to gain over the course of this time with other people, and seeing them kind of develop and grow, and go through that process that martial arts always provides, which is defeat, and then having to get up when you've been knocked down.
It's crazy. 15, 20 years ago, there weren't as many MMA gyms. Now I feel like there's a lot more areas where a lot more facilities people can learn jiu-jitsu, a lot more kickboxing gyms, Muay Thai gyms. Is this just shows you how the sport has grown and evolved?
Yeah, I think back to like my childhood with the Karate Kid, and like there was a karate gym on every corner. Like there was a lot of karate gyms that came out of that, and I think with mixed martial arts developing as it has and becoming as popular as it has, we've been able to see the martial arts that are most effective, and so you're starting to see an inswell of jiu-jitsu academies, or even a focus on about being a wrestler and wrestling academy. There's starting to be more wrestling academies pop up where it's literally just like a youth wrestling academy, but it's a business. Um, there's a few of them in pretty in a radius in my area, and my nephew actually trains at one, so it's pretty crazy. But it's good because I think people are getting to train effective martial arts, and I think martial arts it's different than any other sort of recreational activity that you can do for fitness, because it's a very humbling experience.
Absolutely. One thing I like to ask fighters who own gyms is what happens? Sometimes you hear these horror stories of guys coming in, trying to prove a point, maybe going a little too rough. How do you guys handle that if that happens at your gym?
I just go with them.
Has that ever happened before?
No, like I said, my gym's very like family oriented, and it's just like people. I mean, we've had a few guys come in with the younger guys will try to come in with their tripods, and they want to videotape everything. And I always have a new rule at the gym that if you want to put the tripod up and videotape your rolls or whatever, that you get to roll with me. So
I'm guessing not a lot of takers on that one.
we'll see. I'm just establishing it because we had a couple incidents where guys were bringing them in, and I'm like, I don't know. It just kind of gave me a weird feeling. When they post videos of them like beating somebody in a roll. I'm like, what are they doing here? So I was talking to my buddy, the guy who runs our kickboxing program, Castle, and I was like, I think I'm gonna make that a rule: is that if you want to videotape, the first roll is with me.
There you go. For you, do you get more nervous when you're watching some of your guys compete than when you actually go out there and do it yourself?
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm not a big fan of being a corner man. I've done it, a lot, and I would be doing it today. Actually, I have two guys fighting on the 559 Fights Pro Show, um, and I just don't love it, man. I get nervous. You have no control over the situation, and that's hard, especially if you've invested time and energy and effort, and you care about these people. It makes it very challenging. I don't like being a corner man. And I also don't like going to fights. Like it's not. I don't love going to fights, amateur fights, or even like regional shows. Like I just don't love to go to them. Um, but yeah, especially being in a cornerman, man. I do it when I feel I need to do it, but I don't love to do it.
We've talked in the past of how important the mental side of fighting is. Is that an area that you can teach? Is it possible to try to teach the mental side?
I think to some extent, yeah, for sure, you could teach strategies that you've used to help your mental side. Whether they'll be effective for someone else, I don't know, but I definitely relate things to or I pass down things I've learned about, especially in fight week. Like that leading up to a fight and the nerves that are involved in that. And I remember I used to like really second guess myself, like not necessarily that I was having negative thoughts, but I would second guess myself, like, why am I having these thoughts? Like why am I nervous? Why am I having negative thoughts? And then somewhere along the line, someone, and I wish I could attribute it to him, but I don't remember who, but someone gave me some advice, and they said just to let everything, every emotion that comes with fight week, or the, fight day, or whatever the case may be, to just roll with them and be like, these are the emotions I'm supposed to be feeling, whatever they are. And it's all supposed to be this way. And so I don't know, that kind of like mental shift for me, just something small like that makes a big difference for me in my fight weeks. And so, like little things like that you could bestow upon like a young fighter, I always try to. But I don't know. Everybody's different, and the mind is its own beast. So, what works for me might not work for you, is what I mean, I guess.
For you, when do you start feeling it? Is it the plane ride? When you land to the destination? Is it weigh-ins? When do you start feeling the fight week?
Yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, as soon as I pack my bags and I'm heading to the airport, I'm like, all right, like I know what I'm doing right now, and what I'm going to do. So, yeah, I mean, you kind of have ebbs and flows, like once you hit, maybe you're chilling and everything. I'm here at the airport all day, so my guard's not up. I don't feel like I'm getting in a fight today. But as soon as I touch down in Dubai, I'm sure I'm gonna get that same feeling back. It's gonna be like, oh, I'm here now. Okay, now it's the next part of this process, and yeah, yeah, yeah. I think you just got to ride the wave. I think throughout fight week for sure.
It's really interesting. I've talked to a lot of guys who've been doing this for a very, very long time, and they tell me time and time in the reason why they don't want to stop is that feeling. It's like an addictive feeling. Do you find the same in that?
I don't know. I don't know if I love the feeling. I said I've had fights where I was like sit in the back, like, why the hell do I keep, or especially during weight cuts. I always do it during weight cuts where I'll be like in the middle of the cut and I'll just be telling myself or thinking, I'll always get the thought in my head, like, why the hell do you keep doing this, dude? Like, all your buddies from high school that you wrestle with are no longer cutting weight. Like, so, uh, but yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's the, anticipation. I think what brings me back over and over is that I really do really enjoy fighting. Like I love to get into a fight, and so I have my whole life. I just enjoy. I feel at home when I'm fighting and when I'm in the fire of it, and it scares me, and that's a part of it for sure. But just the competitiveness of it and trying to get better at martial arts. And I always tell people like I'm still just like a little kid who's trying to, like when you're a little kid you like make stuff up in your mind, like you're a ninja or whatever, like, and I'm just still doing the same thing just as a grown up now. I'm trying to be a ninja.
So this is going to be your 11th fight now in the UFC, but your first fight under the Paramount era. Now if you go out there and get a bonus, you could wind up $100,000 richer. Overall, what do you think of this new era that we're in?
I mean, yeah, I think opportunities are there, but you've got to, especially if you're on the prelims, like you've got to really make a statement. You've got to do something spectacular to have a chance at the bonuses. I feel like you're kind of fighting an uphill battle in my opinion. But I don't know what the stats say if like prelim fighters get bonuses as much as main card fighters, or definitely main events. If they have a good fight, usually you get something, So, um, but yeah, they got even just finish. I think they're doing finish bonuses too, where it's like 25K just if you just get a finish. So that's it. That's an incentive too, especially for prelim guys who are only making 20 or 30K a fight. This is the last fight on my deal. So this is the seventh fight this is my second stint in the UFC, seventh fight of that second stint. And it was a 7-fight deal with the Ultimate Fighter that we had to sign. So I've been on the same contract for a while now, and but I've lost a couple in a row, so I know I'm auditioning for. I want to make sure that the UFC knows at the end of it, like, hey, this guy might be getting up there in age, but he's got a few more bangers left in him. So
Absolutely. One thing we're seeing this day and age is the whole entertainment side of things. Social media playing a big role. Guys are calling each other out on social media. Everyone has Instagram, Twitter now. For you, how do you feel social media and entertainment has changed combat sports?
I've definitely seen a shift. Like even the UFC kind of rhetoric around it has changed, where it's really about building your own brand and using the platform that's provided to you or given to you or you've earned to build that brand. I don't always love it, like I don't know, I'm old school in a lot of ways. So it is fun to be creative with it if you can be. There's certain guys I like to follow because they're funny or they're creative. Corey Sandhagen's a good one. Like I just think he's authentic with him with it, uh, and I like authenticity. So guys like that are doing it the right way, I feel like. But yeah, I don't know.
So you're getting
I,
ready. You're
I
getting ready.
the last point is you. I just want everyone out there to know that you can exercise and not take pictures or videos of it, and it still happened.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Dwell on that one. So you're getting ready. You're taking on Abdul Hussein here, July 25th. Overall, what do you think of him as an opponent?
Pretty tough guy, man. Pretty well rounded. He's his first UFC fight, but he's got a lot of experience as an amateur in the European scene, and then there's like a lot of those Middle Eastern promotions like Brave, and so yeah, he's fought some tough guys. I think a lot of his record's a little, some of his fights. I think it's telling when a guy has a ton of first round finishes. Like it tells me something about the level of competition if guys are just falling down and getting submitted in the first couple minutes of each fight. So, but he's also had some fights with like Makayev, who's undefeated flyweight, but he fought him tough. He showed that he's a good grappler for sure, and his striking's come a long way throughout his career. So, tough guy for sure. Not an easy fight, but that's what I like, man. I love the challenge. I love being doubted. I love when people don't think I'm gonna win. That's usually a good thing for me. So yeah, I'll add that motive to the motivation.
You come into this contest definitely with the experience edge. You have more fights than him. You've been doing this longer than him. Having that IQ, having that experience, do you think that helps make the difference in something like this?
Yeah, especially on a short notice. I found out about this 16 days ago. Like I haven't had a full camp or anything. So my experience is definitely going to be something I fall back on in a short notice situation. But I've usually thrived on these short notice kind of situations. I've had several in my career, and I'm always in the gym training anyway, so it's not like I'm coming off the couch 16 days ago. Um, but yeah, it's definitely different. And sometimes it might be a blessing in disguise. You don't spend 8 to 10 to 12 weeks ruminating in your head about a fight. It's like you get right. It was literally like the phone call was. By the time I hung up the phone, it was like putting together a plan for what we're gonna do and how we're gonna do it in the shortest amount of time. And now snap your fingers, and here we are, like a few days later, and we're getting ready to fly to Dubai.
Absolutely. Do you think in this day and age, I mean, it's kind of crazy when you think about it, maybe 15, 20 years ago, you'd see guys fight, they do the whole fight camp, then they'd stop. Some would be chilling just on the couch, get a call 2, 3 months later, back in the gym. This day and age, we don't see that. I mean, you see guys fighting year round, 24/7. Is it possible not to have that mentality in this day and age?
I mean, I think when you're young, especially, and you're still learning, and you're still growing and trying to become a more complete martial artist, I was always the guy who was like made it a point to be, if you fight on a Saturday, you back in the gym on Monday type, mentality. But as I've gotten older and like, you start to see the benefits too of like, I tell all of our guys after a fight to take at least a few days, if not a full week, away from the gym, doing something else with most fighters neglect somebody to do this. Like somebody's getting neglected, and so to really like make sure their personal life is in order and that things are okay at home, so they can come do it again. And then the training load in between fights should be less, and you should be sparring less and beating up your body a little bit less, and allowing yourself to grow in other ways, whether that be athletically or whatever the case. But so I've definitely had a mentality shift. But yeah, it's a year-round sport. Whether no matter how you slice it, like you should always be doing what is best for you and your career and moving forward. And sometimes that is a break, but sometimes, yeah, I don't know. You can't really take any. Like back in the day, I know you're talking about guys would just disappear from the gym. their diet would go to shit. They'd come in Patty Pimblett style or something, just heavy as shit. And then you'd be like, what the hell? What'd you eat, dude? You'd come in the gym, And now it's like, no, even if you're not in the gym, like your lifestyle has to revolve around fighting. And if you want to make it far and you want to have longevity for sure.
In the past, we've talked about the sacrifices that it takes to get to where you're at, battling on the regional scene, not making much money, training every single day. It's hard to have a wife, hard to have a family to get there. When you get there, man, it's the same sacrifices. At one point, you were teaching, staying up late, training, trying to be a fighter and a teacher, a husband, a father, all at the same time. You're a type of guy, man, your career, what you want, man. You've achieved more than probably 90 to 95% of the people who try to set out on this sport. When you look back at all the sacrifices, when you look back at all the missed birthdays over the years, all that crazy stuff, you find that it was worth it when you see what you've all accomplished?
I'm trying to make it worth it. Yeah. I keep telling myself I'm going to cash in the most at the end and right away with the bag of cash. So I need a couple more bonuses, but yeah, I think it's worth it, man. I think I've done a really good job with the help of people of balancing life and being as present as I can be to my kids and my wife. And it's taken us, me and my wife definitely have had butting of heads, with schedules and everything. And it's taken us some years to really, now we just know each other so well and we know what each other needs. And so we can support each other a little bit better than we used to when we were younger. So, you get to teach your kids a really valuable lesson. Like, you can say things to your kids all day, and if you're a parent out there, like, they don't always listen. But if you show them something, day in and day out, like, I feel like that's going to have a dramatic impact on them. So that's what I'm hoping, at least, knock on wood. They're still young enough that it's still a question mark.
What do you want your kids to take away from this journey?
I think you're obviously, if you look at fighting and, you could take away the discipline and, the sacrifice and the determination and then, all those things. But for me, more importantly, it would be to follow what you love to do. And, if there's a will, there's a way. And, make it work somehow. And I would just hate to see them in an unfulfilling role in life because they played it safe or they felt they had to. I want them to follow their passions because at the end of the day, we just live one life. And if you're not following, I know you have to work. I understand all that. That's not what I'm saying. But to really just to dive into what you're passionate about. If I could teach them that, I'll be a happy guy at the end of the day.
Absolutely. All right, Cody, last question from me, my friend. In a perfect world, what is the outcome July 25th when you return to UFC and you take on Abdul Hussein?
I'm looking to put my hands on him and try to get him out of there. He hasn't ever been knocked out, so it'd be nice to be the first to do that. I had never been knocked out either until my last one, so everybody's got to have their first. And I'm going to try to put my hands on him and get him out of there so I can get some extra money and hopefully a new contract with the UFC because I like to keep doing this for another year or two.
Absolutely. Well, Cody, brother, always a pleasure. Love talking to you, man. I wish you nothing but the best. Good luck to you.
Carlo, always good talking to you, man. Take care.
Absolutely. That's it for us today. I'm Carl Peruzza. He's the Renegade. He's Mr. Cody Gibson. You can watch him July 25th, making his return to the UFC. Take on Abdul Hussein, Abu Dhabi. Fight fans, don't believe. Take it.